Jerry, you sit here and dig. All right.
Thank you, sir.
You draw the crowd, brother.
Yeah, good.
We ready? Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for being here on what I consider a very auspicious occasion. I will make a few opening remarks and then turn it over to Chairman Neesmith, and then the man of the hour will have a few comments to make. Looking back to last fall, when the search process began, Chairman Walker had the first meeting of the search committee. And after I gave the charge to the committee, one of the things he did was go around the room and give each member of the search committee to give the traits they were looking for, I would like to see in the next president of the University of Georgia. They said several things. One, they'd like to see someone who had had experience at a large public research university, someone who not only understood but embraced the land-grant mission of a flagship university, someone who was willing and interested in committing to investing in faculty and research facilities, those kinds of things that are so essential to any public institution, higher education today, particularly one that aspires to AAU status. Someone who were not only willing, but would in fact devote significant time to fundraising. That is an essential requirement for any president today of almost any size institution. Someone would have the skills to work effectively with the state's elected leadership, who even in tough economic times still remains the strongest supporter economically of our university. And quite frankly, right now, Georgia is fortunate to be one of those, despite economic cutbacks, has very significant support from state government. Obviously, given his background, this is with a no-brainer. Someone who would focus on quality students, quality education, someone who was really devoted and interested in the quality of the experience that our undergraduates have here. And lastly, but certainly not least, someone who had unquestionable integrity and someone who would conduct himself along those lines at all times. A few weeks later, Chairman Walker came and spent a day with the first search firm consultant, walked this campus, talked to a number of constituencies here at the university, and listening to them and hearing their comments, and they mirrored what he had heard from the search committee members. Following that, after an extensive search nationwide, the committee made recommendations to the board, and the board interviewed the final candidates. And we concluded, they concluded, and I concluded that having searched the country from east to west, that we found the person that we wanted and needed right here on our campus. And that person is Jerry Morehead. Now, Jerry does not lead a long introduction, so I won't give you one. I've known Jerry for a number of years, had the great pleasure of working with him in several capacities during my time here at the University of Georgia. It's been said over and over again that many people don't know anyone among our alumni, among our staff, who loves the University of Georgia more than he does. He has committed a substantial part of his career to advancing the university in the various positions he's held. So he's a person that can hit the ground running. He's a person who is committed to achieving all of the goals that I think the search committee hopes that we will achieve over the next number of years. He's a person who is not only well known on this campus, but he has a legion of students that he's taught over the years around this state and around this country. And all of them, many of them, have voiced their opinions and support of Jerry as the word came that he would the finalist for this position. I know he will do a great job. I am very confident that the heights to which we all aspire for this university to achieve will be achieved. Shortly after President Adams announced his retirement, I received a communication from someone who said that your legacy as chancellor will be determined by the person that you hire as president of the University of Georgia. I am confident that my legacy is in good hands with Jerry Morehead. In fact, it cannot be in better hands. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'll turn the mic to you.
Thank you, Chancellor. I think you said it all. Since my parents brought me to Athens in 1966 and I unloaded my freshman stuff out of the trunk of their Buick, the University of Georgia has been embedded in my soul. This decision is awfully important to me as well as many thousand alumni and faculty and friends of the University of Georgia. Jerry, I think your appointment says something very significant about the flagship of the state of Georgia. We looked coast to coast. We were looking for a rock star to take the place of Dr. Michael Adams, who has brought the University of Georgia to an unparalleled height of excellence and national prominence. We're such a great institution today. We were looking for a rock star that could take us further. And as your candidacy rose among the committee and the regents, you were among some rock stars, but your star shined the brightest. And that's a great compliment to this university. So today at 2 o'clock, we had a conference call to consider our sole finalist, Jerry Morehead, and we want you to know without any discussion, there was a unanimous vote, and we congratulate you on being named the future president of the University of Georgia. And now our job as regents is to help you be the most successful president ever of this wonderful institution, my alma mater, the University of Georgia. Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. Let me just begin by expressing my thanks and appreciation to Chancellor Huckabee and Chairman Neesmith, the Board of Regents, the Presidential Search Committee. I see several members from that committee here today, and its Chair, Regent Walker. And I just want to also express my thanks and appreciation to all my friends and colleagues that I see at this press conference today. I have to tell you, becoming president of the University of Georgia is obviously a dream come true for a University of Georgia graduate who has spent more than half of his life on this campus. And while the University of Georgia faces many economic challenges, I believe that if we focus on our academic priorities, we can and we will reach new heights as an institution. The university is poised, thanks to our faculty, our staff, and our students, to become one of the greatest public universities in this country. And it's that belief that's going to filter every decision that I make, how I spend my time, and how I devote the university's resources in the coming years. In preparation for the UGA presidency, I plan to devote much of the next 5 months to evaluating our strengths and weaknesses, now from a different perspective, visiting with our alumni and our supporters, talking to other college presidents around this country that face similar challenges, certainly meeting with key state and federal officials who provide support to this university. And I'll also be contemplating possible organizational changes and certainly beginning the preparation for a major capital campaign to move us to the next level and provide us with the private resources necessary to remain nationally competitive. All of these activities, I think, are going to allow me to hear from the university community, from our supporters and our friends, and learn more about what they are thinking about the University of Georgia. And I think it will help me develop a fresh perspective regarding the changes that may be good for the University of Georgia going forward. In the coming days, I will announce the appointment of an interim provost who will assume my current role on July the 1st, and certainly will provide great assistance to me during this transition period. I also plan to appoint a very small presidential transition team who can advise me on some key issues as I prepare to assume the role of president of the University of Georgia. However, I just want to take a moment now to remind everybody that I still have another job to complete as provost and senior vice president for academic affairs. I've got 4 openings to fill for deanships in the Grady College, the School of Public and International Affairs, the College of Engineering, and the Terry College of Business. And soon, the vice president for student affairs when Dr. Rodney Bennett is named president of the University of Southern Mississippi shortly. So I'll have plenty to do on my schedule over the next 5 months as I complete my role as provost. I really believe that making sure that we hire great leaders, as we've done recently with the appointments of our deans in the Franklin College of Arts and Sciences and the College of Education, that's going to remain a very important short-term priority for me. It's a priority because great deans attract and retain great faculty and students, and in the end, that's what we're all about here, is to make sure our students have the greatest education possible. I also think it's important for everyone to remember that we have only one president at a time. President Adams is in that role through June 30th of this year. There'll be plenty of time for me to discuss key issues facing the University of Georgia, and I look forward to doing so as that becomes more appropriate after I become president. But once again, I am so appreciative of the opportunity that the Chancellor, the Chairman, and the Board of Regents has provided me, and I look forward to this opportunity. Thanks so much.
We'll take some questions now from the media, and as you prepare your questions to ask them, please do us all a favor, at least on the first question, to identify yourself and your organization. So with that, I'll open the floor to questions. I know Laura Diamond from AJC.
Hi, Laura Diamond with the AJC. Congratulations,
Thank you.
first off. I know one of the most popular questions that I know I've been getting from readers and that I've been seeing on your blogs has been if you could talk a little bit about how you view the relationship between academics and athletics, particularly at an institution such as the University of Georgia.
Well, I believe that the academics drive any great university. And I'm pleased to say that at the University of Georgia, we have a very good relationship in that regard. I have a monthly meeting with my vice provost and other athletic officials. We talk about the challenges that they confront and the roles that they play in athletics. I think it's a positive relationship. I have great confidence in our athletic director and his staff. And so I think it's the kind of relationship that's good for athletics, good for academics. In the end, I want to see our student athletes be successful in the classroom to earn their degrees, and I also want to see them win a few championships along the way as well. And I don't think that's mutually exclusive. I think we do both very well here, and I'm committed to continuing to support athletics.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Caitlin O'Brien. I'm from the Red and Black. You talked
Well, of course, the Grady College has already recommended their finalists, and they will be coming to campus in the coming weeks to interview. But I think with any dean, you want someone who is a great leader, who listens, who is responsive to the needs of the faculty and students. But at the same time, you want someone who's well-grounded in the disciplines that they will be responsible for, understands where education is moving in their particular areas, is open to change, is open to new ideas, doesn't want to stand still, because if you stand still, you get left behind. So I would just tell you to look at the 3 deans I've appointed as provost, and I think you get a pretty good idea of the kinds of individuals that I believe can lead schools and colleges. It's most important, particularly as we begin the planning process for a major capital campaign, because in the end, our alumni and supporters all went through a school or a college, and the leadership in that school or college is going to be critical to helping us raise the private resources needed for the university to move forward.
Our next question is the disembodied voice over here, Philip Lucas from the Associated Press.
Hi, thanks for your time. I appreciate it. Could you please speak up? I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing on the conference line. I know that you mentioned you will appoint sort of a transition committee. And I was wondering if you could talk just a little bit more about some of the main issues that you plan to focus on in the early stages of the transition. And if you could elaborate a little bit on what some of the key relationships are between the school and the state legislature that will help you be most successful in the early stages.
Well, certainly, I think you need a group of key advisors that can make suggestions to you about matters that ought to be considered during the transition. I'm going to spend a great deal of time thinking about the organizational structure of the University of Georgia. When I became provost, I said that I thought our institution needed to be less bureaucratic. It needed to be very responsive to our faculty, our students, our alumni, and our supporters. And that is an issue that I will continue to confront and to address going forward. I think in these economic times, you need to demonstrate a belief in a lean machine that gets the job of the university done with as few layers of bureaucracy as possible. So that is certainly one issue that I'll be thinking about. And it's also important to make sure you surround yourself with individuals that share your vision for what you intend to do. And in my view, the most important thing that I can do as president, well, I would say 2 things, is to keep us focused on a goal of being the strongest academic institution that we can possibly be. And to do that, getting our entire structure behind a major capital campaign to move the university forward. Because we can't assume in these economic times that we're going to get our resources from any place other than our own friends and supporters going forward. We have to show our stakeholders in Atlanta and in Washington that our alumni support us, that they're behind us. And so I'm going to be spending a lot of time thinking through that strategy and that campaign, as well as just the normal issues that any new president will be confronting as you take on an assignment of this nature. So that'll sort of remain to be determined as we get the group assembled and together. But it's going to be a very small group.
Philip, did you have any other follow-up? I know it's a little bit harder for you to raise your hand.
Yeah, actually, I was wondering if you could elaborate a little bit more on some of the financial challenges that the university is facing at this point.
Well, the university, like all major universities in the United States, has had to learn to operate in an environment where resources have not been as plentiful as they were before the Great Recession. We are also facing the challenge that our students have a greater need for financial aid. Many of them depend on financial aid for their own support. And so I think a president has to be thinking about how we can provide more resources to assist our students as they seek to complete their college educations. But, you know, I think the university is in a good place. I think that we have the ability to move forward successfully in this environment, and I'm encouraged about what we can do in the future. I think we need to learn how to be careful with our spending and how we use every penny that we have available to us. And then I think we have to be out there demonstrating the needs of this university that will attract more private support.
Next question? Yes.
Sat down with some class newspapers on the piggybacking on the athletics thing. Obviously, President Adams is active and visible at the NCAA and the SEC level. He's still going to be on the committee of infractions. You were the faculty rep for a while. Do you intend to be pretty active also on the NCAA or SEC level, or kind of take a backseat?
Well, I don't think any president of a Southeastern Conference school can take a back seat when it comes to athletics. Athletics is very important to this university and to its supporters. But I also believe that we have a very competent and highly qualified athletic staff. I will certainly continue to work with them as I have in my current role. Remember, I've served for 7 years as the faculty athletics representative and have been the vice chairman of the athletic board for the last 3 years. So I haven't really been taking a back seat to athletics. It will remain very important, and I know I'll have regular communication with the athletic director. In fact, that happened just this morning. So as far as the NCAA is concerned, I've attended many NCAA conventions and meetings, many meetings of the Southeastern Conference. I've already talked to the Southeastern Conference Commissioner in recent days. So those things will continue. One of the things that has, for me, been exciting in the last few years is that the Southeastern Conference has started to invest more in academic initiatives. Next week in Atlanta at the Hyatt Regency, we will be holding the first Southeastern Conference Academic Symposium on Alternative Energy. And the University of Georgia is the lead institution for that academic symposium that'll bring all of the member institutions together along with many of their faculty that have expertise in that area. I think those sorts of events are very good for the Southeastern Conference, and I'm glad to know that the SEC is committed to supporting some of those things.
Any other questions? Lee Sheriff.
Well, Lee, that's one of the things I'm going to be certainly talking to our alumni and supporters about in the coming months. But certainly retaining and recruiting quality faculty is high on my list. Great faculty bring you great students, and the University of Georgia has its share of very great students. So I will certainly want to remain focused on ensuring that we continue to do well in the recruitment of both good faculty and good students to this institution. I think we have to continue to show that the research that we do is relevant to the state of Georgia and the rest of the world. As a land-grant institution, that's particularly important, that the things that we do are benefiting the people of this state, and that has been critical, I think, to the love and affection that the University of Georgia has always had with the people of Georgia. That is certainly something that we have to make sure continues. And I have to tell you, we have a great person leading that effort now in our Vice President for Public Service and Outreach, Dr. Jennifer Fromm, and she's one of the individuals that I'm sure I'll be spending a great deal of time with, as well as our Dean of the College of of agricultural sciences, because those individuals are out among the state, and they're demonstrating that what we do is very important to the people. What I want to see happen is making sure that everybody who's on the faculty or staff at the University of Georgia is always thinking about how are we serving the people of this state. There was a quote a few weeks ago. I wish I could say it was mine, but it's not. But the new president of Purdue University said something that I thought was very profound. He said that every time a student spends $10,000 on tuition, the institution receiving that money needs to be thinking about, did we invest that $10,000 well to benefit the university and in that case, the state of Indiana. I want us all to have a similar mindset.
Any other questions? Laura?
Sort of building on what you had just talked about regarding research, are there any particular areas in where you'd like to see the University of Georgia either go into or focus more on when it comes to research?
Well, certainly one that's in front of us right now, and the Chancellor and the Chairman as well as the Board of Regents have been very supportive of us, is building this new Center for Molecular Medicine. That's a new initiative that's just getting underway. I think it's a very exciting opportunity for us. We have already received a commitment of private support for that particular initiative. That's a great example of what I'm talking about, where you get private support that parallels public investment in a project. So that's one of many. I see Dr. Stice here. There's obviously all sorts of work going on in his areas. Our sciences are very important. Growing the level of research investment at this university is going to be critical to what the Chancellor talked about, AAU status. To have AAU status, our research enterprise has got to grow, and so that's something we'll certainly be spending a lot of time talking about.
Lou, you have some more questions? Are you still there, Lou?
Hello? So Lucas here from the Associated Press. I just wanted to go back to something you said a little bit earlier in terms of restructuring the school to be a little bit less bureaucratic. I was wondering if you could just expand on that a little bit. Do you think that might include administrative positions being eliminated, or do you think there are certain functions that just need to be sort of consolidated and streamlined?
Well, you know, as I said a moment ago, that's what the next several months will be about for me. I'm not going to make any prejudgments at this point, but I do think it's important that all of us, in whatever role we have, we figure out how we can make the life of our students and faculty as productive as possible and eliminate any barriers that might exist in the case of a student getting finished with their degree in a timely manner, and in the case of a faculty member, making sure that we are providing the support they need for their research and teaching and public service. So I think all that will become apparent as time passes, but I probably shouldn't say any more till I start hearing from others on that subject.
Other questions? Yes.
Sean Saki Luong. Earlier in the broadcast, earlier in the conference, it was said that each president has taken the university to new heights and has allowed for the University of Georgia to be brought to the next step. One, what do you think your next step is going to be when you take office, the next step that you're going to accomplish? And what would you like your legacy to be when your term will be finished?
Well, I think that's made pretty apparent by what I said in my statement and in the release from the Board of Regents. If I'm a successful president, I will have led us through the largest capital campaign in the history of the University of Georgia. Because without private resources, we're not going to move to the next level. And if I'm a successful president, I will have kept the university focused on our academic priorities in the decisions we make about how to invest the resources that we have, either from the state of Georgia or from our alumni and supporters. So in general, those are the things that will be guiding me going forward.
And there's another question over here, yes.
Yeah, hi, Phil. Very good question. I was wondering, in like tough economic times, what sort of things would need to be cut? What kind of budget cuts or things like that would you?
Well, you know, that's what we've been doing for the last several years. Is we make priorities, we make decisions, and you reallocate to the things that matter most. Since I've been provost, we've done 3 faculty hiring initiatives to rebuild the ranks of our tenured and tenure-track faculty. And I thought that was important, and I think it has made a difference adding 90 new tenure-track faculty to the university, particularly since we had lost so many during the first few years of the Great Recession. So your priorities follow what's important, and what's important is making sure that our students get a great education and making sure that the research and the service that we provide to this state continues to be enhanced. And with whatever dollars you have, you figure out how to allocate them so that those objectives drive the decisions.
Yes.
Nick Rizos, the Red and Black. I have 2 quick questions for you. I'll give you the first one here. First of all, with all these dean positions, with all these upper positions being open right now, do you feel like that gives you the chance to kind of mold the university in the image that you think is going to allow us to be the most successful? Is it kind of a chance to put your stamp on it very early on?
Well, I think with every dean position, you try to hire someone that's better than the person before them. And so I will certainly be focused on hiring the very best people that are available in the marketplace. You know, I don't know when you say, does it put your stamp on it? My stamp will be to hire the best people that are out there. And if we hire the best people, and I'm known for hiring really good people to positions, then that'll be fine with me.
And then the second, real quick, was just talk about bringing really good students here. And I think a lot of people would credit the last 10, 15, 16 years of that due to the fact that Hope has been so successful. With the prospect of Hope maybe dwindling or one day maybe running out, how do you still draw students of the same caliber as you used to be able to? And what are some other alternative methods to doing that?
Well, I'm going to let the chancellor or the chairman talk about the Hope Scholarship, but I'll answer this part of your question and then defer to them. My goal will be to raise the private resources necessary to supplement the Hope Scholarship. You know, one of the greatest programs we have at the University of Georgia for attracting top students is our Foundation Fellows program, which I used to direct. That program is run entirely from private resources, and the generosity of Bernard Ramsey and several other prominent alumni that have allowed us to bring students to the University of Georgia that have successfully competed for Rhodes, Marshalls, Trumans, Goldwaters, and the like. So as president of the University of Georgia, I need to be about the task of looking for opportunities to find private donors that will support both our need-based scholarship needs as well as our merit scholars. You wanna...
Well, first, the Hope Scholarship will always be there at some level, assuming the lottery just doesn't go away. So it's a matter of what that level will be. My guess would be at some point it will probably be capped at some given level. But this plays into what President-elect Morehead said, that this institution, as others are already doing, must raise money to supplement the financial needs of students. There's a great need in this state for needs-based financial aid. And one of our sister institutions in the university system, to that end, Georgia Tech, has what they call the Tech Promise program, in which the foundation has raised about $40 million, and the earnings off that go to supplement top students who need financial assistance. And although I will not try to micromanage at all the University of Georgia, I do hope in this capital campaign that Dr. Morehead's talking about, that it will give consideration to establishing that kind of program as well.
Other questions? Yes.
Hi. One more question. You had talked earlier about how it's important when we're raising all this money to invest not only in ourselves, but make sure we're impacting the state. How much would you hope to impact the community, the local community of Athens? How big a role would the university play in Athens under your
Well, you know, one of the greatest things that I've ever been a part of is when I was vice president for instruction, working with our vice president for public service and outreach. We were responsible for the Office of Service Learning, and I know that Dr. Jolly and Dr. Fromm now have that responsibility. But one of the great things that the Office of Service Learning has done is help students develop academically focused programs that involve community outreach as a part of what the students do. And we've got over 30,000 students in this community that can positively impact this community. And I will do everything that I can do to encourage our students to be good citizens, to give back to this community while they're in college. There are many worthy things that they can do. I know Chairman Neesmith can give us a list right now of various activities that we could use student volunteers helping in our community. So what I'll be doing is talking to the mayor as well as the commission and others as we look for ways to partner with them. And certainly we've got a great volunteer force of students, many of whom are already doing those sorts of things in the community. And anything I can do to encourage those activities, I certainly will.
Any last questions?
Lucas again from the Associated Press. I did have another quick question. This one is for Chancellor Huckabee and Chairman Neesmith. I'm wondering, I know that there was a national search, and yes, that it was really important to find someone who could not only jump headfirst into some of the fundraising initiatives and make the necessary relationships in the capital. But I'm wondering if you could tell me a little bit about what some institutional knowledge of the university might do to sort of smooth out the transition process, and what role that might have had in just making the position a little bit easier for you guys. And Mr. Morehead, you can sort of chime in if you want on what that knowledge might do to help you sort of ease into your new role.
Chancellor, you want that opportunity?
You wax eloquent, then I'll follow up.
Sure. Happy to answer that. The attributes of Jerry Morehead are too long to list at one press conference, but one of the attributes would be his institutional knowledge of this university and the state of Georgia that it serves. The learning curve is going to be very, very small. We believe our president-elect has already hit the ground running, preparing himself to become the 22nd president of the nation's oldest public university, oldest chartered public university. I think folks in Chapel Hill would say they had the student first, but we had the first charter. We like that, don't we, Dr. Morehead?
Absolutely.
So the learning curve is very, very small. He knows inside and out the University of Georgia, from athletics to academics to student life. If you look around the country and perhaps the globe, the landscape is dotted with classmates and former students of President-elect Morehead. If you move over to Atlanta, and we do cherish our funding partners that help us to accomplish our mission here, he is very, very familiar with the process and the individuals involved in the process. So he won't have to go to school on these issues. He's been studying this for half of his life, and we feel he is the perfect choice to lead us to the next level of excellence at the University of Georgia.
I would just comment as well that all of the applicants or candidates for the position were people of great experience, diverse experience. They were all asked the same questions. We were seeking to discern who might have something new to offer, a different perspective. And when it came down to it, the goal always was, whether inside candidate or outside candidate, we wanted the best person. That's what finally drove the discussion and decision of both the board and the staff input as well. So when it came right down to it, as I said earlier, after we looked at everything, particularly in the context of what everybody was saying we needed here at the University of Georgia, the choice was very clear. And I'm looking forward, quite frankly, in a very positive way to working with President Morehead in the years ahead.
Thank you. No more questions?
I'm sorry to interrupt again, but could you remind me of, was that Mr. Huckabee or Mr. Neesmith speaking second?
Huckabee was second. Neesmith was the more eloquent one speaking first.
Thank you.
I don't have a script.
Thank you. We appreciate the, we have one last question? Yes.
Hi, I'm Vanessa from Grady News Source. Now, this is a more lighthearted question. Are you a big Bulldogs fan?
Absolutely. If you haven't seen me at athletic events, then you haven't been looking very hard.
And who's your favorite player?
Oh, I'm not going to answer that question. That'll get me in trouble. So I'm going to refrain from responding to that one.
Thank you all.
Thank you.